Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, his brother, and led them up a high mountain apart, and he was transfigured before them. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Today is what is called Quinquagesima Sunday, which means that this is the last Sunday before the beginning of Lent. Ash Wednesday takes place this week. This Wednesday we'll have two services, one at noon and one at 6 in the evening. You're welcome to come to both. But this Sunday occupies an important space because in a sense it sort of straddles two different worlds. It straddles the world of Epiphany and its connections with the incarnation and revelation of God as incarnate. But it also straddles in sort of preparation for the upcoming event. And I find that this passage is a wonderful transition for this day as we transition the liturgical period. This passage always held an important place in the Eastern lectionaries as being a passage related to the Epiphany. And so when the reform of the lectionary came about in the 60s and 70s, this passage was imported to sort of end Epiphany every year. And so it has those connections with both. And I believe that through it, first of all, we can see Christ as revealed as God. We believe that we can see Christ revealed within our own humanity. But finally, there's another important aspect of this passage, which is the going down from the mountain, which I believe is where we can begin to connect with Lent. So I want to look at these three different aspects of this passage today. First, let me read the passage for you once again. Jesus took with him Peter and led them up a high mountain apart. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became white as light. And behold, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. And Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is well that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 booths here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He was still speaking when, lo, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and the voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." And the disciples heard this, and they fell on their faces and were filled with awe. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Rise, and have no fear." So first off, I think what we find in this passage is that it has a great many similarities with a number of events that came before it all throughout the Old Testament. And we have a specific category for this sort of literature. And what this is called is it's called a theophanic event, or an event of theophany. Theophany, you may hear how it has a linguistic connection with the word epiphany, which means revelation. Except we have before it this word theo, which means God. And so where epiphany is just generally an act of revelation, theophany is specifically a revelation of God as God. And anywhere we find this sort of literature throughout the Old Testament, there are specific qualifications that go along with it. In almost every single instance, each of these takes place on a mountain. In almost every single instance, there's some sort of an atmospheric event regarding either a cloud, fire, earthquake, and then the voice of God speaks with whatever it is that is to be revealed about him. And so that being the case, I think it's very fascinating that we have here this New Testament theophanic event that follows all of the literature guidelines that we find all throughout the Old Testament. I think one of the important aspects of that is that we can use it as a sort of a sense of comparison. We have one of those comparisons as our Old Testament lection today. If you go back to the Old Testament lection, we have an event in Exodus where Moses goes up to the holy mountain and he experiences a very similar theophanic event. It takes place on top of a mountain. There's cloud, there's thunder, there's earthquake, and there's the voice of God that comes to Moses on the mountain. Similarly, we can see also here with Elijah as well. He himself had a very similar theophanic event on Mount Carmel where he was called up to the mountain. And there in the cave, he experienced the fire and the lightning storm and then the earthquake. But God wasn't in the earthquake or in the fire or in the thunder and lightning. And then the voice of God came in a still, small voice. And I can only imagine being Peter, James, event, who've been brought up on all these stories of these great theophanies that have taken place. And here they themselves probably think that they are just traveling up the mountain to have a time of prayer with Jesus. And suddenly he's transformed before their eyes. And next thing you know, all of these, they begin to tick off all these that they grew up with. And they realize we're on a mountain, there's a cloud, there's the voice of God, and they realize they are here for this primary event of theophany. But there's something that's especially beautiful and specific about this. And is that it doesn't just bring together the prophets of the new covenant, but here we have together almost as if all at once, all of these theophanies are brought together in a single moment, in a single place. And we have this union of the old and the new covenants. And we have Moses, and we have Elijah representing the law and the prophets. And we have Peter, James, and John, the prophets of the new covenant. And here, the God of the old covenant and the God of the new covenant come together, united in this presentation of a God of love who comes down to be with his people. This is the theophany of the new covenant, where God reveals himself in Jesus Christ. And I believe that we can continue, we do continue to have a similar theophany today. But you know that there's a reason that our churches are not set up like, for instance, an auditorium. If you go to an auditorium, all of the seats are not on one level, right? If you go to an auditorium, the seats are on an incline, right? So that you can see over the head of the person in front of you and you can see whatever's happening up on the stage. Well, here in our parish, it's not that way, right? Your seats aren't on the incline. Your seats are all flat in front of you. But to fix that problem, it's sort of the opposite. Instead of inclining the seats, what we have done is we have this incline to the altar. This is entirely on purpose. There's a reason for this. And that is because what is to take place within the context of liturgy is a theophany. We all come together here to climb this holy mountain, the temple, the mount of the holy temple, and to ascend into the altar of God, where, mind you, Jesus Christ, Sunday after Sunday, is transformed before our very eyes and offered to us. We all together travel up this holy mountain. We all together with Peter, James, and John see Jesus Christ revealed as God and come to partake and to participate in that holy mystery of the new covenant, uniting both Old and New Testaments, uniting both Old and New saints, so that we ourselves can be found together in that parade of saints upon the holy mount of God. And so the first thing that we have taking place here is theophany, the revelation of Christ as God. But I think it ends there, because we can go on and we can push the comparisons even further. And I think that what is most telling in this passage is not the similarities between this new covenant theophany and the old covenant theophanies, but rather the differences. So for instance, if we go back, let's go back to that portion with Moses once again. When Moses experiences a theophany, said to do what? To avert his eyes, to take off his shoes, because he's in a holy place. And similarly with Elijah, he hears the thunder and lightning and the windstorm, and he hears the fire, and he experiences the earthquake. But God is in none of those. He's in a still small voice. It's when he hears that still small voice that he knows to go out into the presence of God and to receive his revelation. But how does he do it? Do you remember? Does he just walk out? Just struts right on out there as if it's nothing unusual? No. He takes his robe and he covers his eyes like this and walks out in the presence of God. Why? Because, as you know from your own God, faces death. His sight is too holy and too great and too wonderful for them. And as a moth walking out into the flame, it's simply the end because of his greatness and of his holiness. I think that Peter, James, and John knew that. I think when all these things came together and they realized that this was theophany, what do you see them do? They throw themselves down on the ground, face down. They realize that they are in the presence of God himself. And they realize that if they look, that it could be the end. But look, my friends, here is the difference between the old and the new theophanies. Let me just read this passage to you because it's wonderful. When the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces and were filled with awe. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Rise and have no fear." Do you see the difference between the old and the new? This is not a God who may not be looked upon, but this is a God who has come and revealed himself, not just revealed himself, but revealed himself in our flesh, revealed himself in our humanity, and so has become one that we can look upon. The God who comes to our eyes visually, whom we can see and taste and touch and feel and hear and become a friend with. And my friends, I believe that to this day that we can still see the revelation of God in our humanity. And as a matter of fact, I believe that it is absolutely vital. Knowing and experiencing God revealed in His sacrament and his transfiguration is the first step to coming to see God revealed in every other human being whom we come in contact. What was it that Christ said? "But what you do unto the least of these, you have done unto me." If you give water to the thirsty, you've given water to Jesus Christ himself. If you give food to the hungry, you've given food to Jesus Christ himself. If you clothe the naked, you've given clothes to Jesus Christ himself. And I believe that we are called through this passage not only to find Christ glorified in his transfigured clothes and in the sacraments and in the beauty and the glory of his divinity, but also to find him revealed in our humanity. We are to see him in the face of our family members, face of our fellow parishioners. We're to see him in the face of our co-workers and those on the streets. We're to see him in the face of those who are suffering and of crying. The Christ that we find transfigured on the mount is the same Christ that is crucified on Golgotha, who hangs suffering and in pain, with a crown of thorns on his head, with nails in his hands and his feet, with blood running down his side, and a mother weeping at his feet. And we can find God in our humanity. No, we are called to find God in the eyes of others, of all those around us, no matter their state of life. And so Jesus Christ is revealed as God in this theophany, God in humanity. But it doesn't end there. I think if I were to alter this lecture, I would change it just a little bit. I would make it just a little bit longer. Because what comes after is just as important and has such a connection with Lent itself as what came before. Does anyone remember what they find when they come down off of this holy mountain after the theophany? Let me read it for you real quick. It says, "And when they came to the crowd, a man came up to him, and kneeling before him said, 'Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic and he suffers terribly. For often he falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not heal him.' And Jesus answered, 'O faithless and perverse generation, how long am I going to be with you? How long am I to bear with you?' And Jesus rebuked him, and the demon came out of him, and the boy was cured instantly. Then," this is the important part, get this, "then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, 'Why did we not cast it out?' And he said to them, 'Because of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it can move, and nothing will be impossible to you. But this kind never comes out except by prayer and fasting.'" And there you have your connection with Lent. Here in this passage, just as in our church calendar, you have this wonderful budding together of these two seasons, these two events, of Christ revealed as God and Christ revealed as incarnate in our humanity, but then the response of that, which is something that has to happen within each of us. We all have our own demons, don't we? There's not a single person to you has made it to the perfect state of glory that is to come. We all struggle with developing virtues, and we all struggle with leaving behind our vices. And now that we've come down off this holy mountain, now we are faced with those demons face to face. Now that we know who God is and what he can do, now it is up to us to begin to fight the fight, to go into the fray, and to bring a battle to our flesh, to find ourselves transformed because of his glory. My friends, this week we begin Holy Lent. This week we begin the Holy Fast, have demons, in a sense, that live within us. Demons with which we struggle. Demons that we found that we're unable to cast out. And Jesus Christ says to us today, this type only come out with prayer and with fasting. And so coming off of that holy mountain from the Holy Epiphany, having seen Christ revealed in our flesh, knowing what it is that we must do, let us go into Holy Lent with determination, with prayer, with fasting. Let us find Christ in the Holy Sacrament. Let us take him into ourselves. Let us find him in other people. And let us begin that hard work of transformation that only comes through the disciplines of the faith. And Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, his brother, and led them up a high mountain apart, and he was transfigured before them. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.